I'm seeing some questions come in. The presentation, I have 11 slides, which will probably take me about 20, 30 minutes to get through, and we'll take some questions afterwards, so you're welcome to stay for those. We're also going to record and place everything online so you can view this later if you need to go. That's fine too. Can you all hear me? I'm not positive that you all can hear me. If somebody can just chat that they can hear me, I'd appreciate it so we can get started. Thank you. Okay, so it's 2:01 Central Time, 3:01 Eastern Time, and I guess noon on the West Coast, and so I think we'll just go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining. My name is Dorit Donoviel. I am a Deputy Chief Scientist of the National Space Biomedical Research Institute. I also am the Industry Forum Lead for the NSBRI. I've been with the Institute for about 5 years. I'm also a faculty member at Baylor College of Medicine. And so what I'm going to do today is give an overview of this new opportunity for small companies and tell you a little bit about what we're looking for. What we're going to do is basically just do a general overview of the program and essentially allow questions via, I don't know why this is not advancing via, is it locked up?
No.
Okay. Here we go. What we're going to cover today is the who, what, where, how, and when, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about some specific things about space flight. And then I think probably most interesting to a lot of the folks on this call are the pain points for space. So this is an area where we can educate small companies and entrepreneurs with regards to the overlaps for what they're developing for Earth markets and where there are also needs in space that match what the needs are on Earth as well. And then the questions, as I said, please email me. I have somebody that's monitoring my email during the telecon, and they will be handing me questions that I will address. And there's also the chat box that somebody is monitoring right now and will also hand me questions. So feel free to email me after the WebEx at any time while you're preparing the applications online, or call the main office. It's also listed on the website. So with that, I think we'll move on. Let me go back and just say SMARTCAP stands for Space Medical and Related Technologies Commercialization Assistance Program. Essentially, it's non-dilutive funding, and we're looking for new technologies that will help us safeguard the health of astronauts in space. But also, part of our mission is to take those technologies and make sure that they improve health on Earth as well. So who are we? We are a nonprofit entity. We're based out of Baylor College of Medicine. We have kind of a long name. It's called the National Space Biomedical Research Institute, NSBRI for short. We have a 20-year cooperative agreement with NASA. We get reviewed by NASA every 5 years, and we just passed our last review, and we are set until our sunset date, which is 2017. So we've been around for a while. Essentially, our mission is to conduct and fund research to enable safe and productive human spaceflight, and as I already said, apply the technologies that we develop for space to also make sure that we make improvements on Earth. We essentially fund R&D. We also have education programs. Our main way of funding research is through an annual grant solicitation. Those are fairly similar to a traditional NIH process where you have a long application, and we do a two-step model where we screen first for matching what the calls are for specific target areas that we're interested in, and then we also have a peer review that's done in Washington, D.C. The grants are sort of hybrid NIH DoD model in that we are operationally driven program. We've moved away from basic research. We're doing a lot more operationally relevant. What I mean by that is translational projects that really focus on product delivery to the space program. We also have a mechanism where we have directed projects that really focus in on specific things that NASA needs to transition technologies to flight, et cetera. And SMARTCAP is actually a new program for us. We started this in 2011 where we directly fund companies. We do not have an SBIR program like a government agency would. So this is our equivalent of an SBIR. The reason we did this is we felt that companies were not adequately recruited to the traditional style grant process. In general, companies are very busy doing their development work and do not necessarily employ folks who spend a lot of time writing grants. It's an art in itself. So we really wanted to make it easy for small companies to come in and get funding so that we can leverage all the innovation that's going on in the private sector, and also try to partner them and give them access to many of the university labs that we fund. So SMARTCAP is sort of the nascent, the new program that we're really targeting companies. SMARTCAP Accel is a brand new program that we're trying out this year, and you all are going to be our guinea pigs. What this is it's a partnering with accelerators, and so a nomination by an accelerator that is active or has been active in the last 12 months. What I mean by that is an accelerator that's continuing to support companies is required, and the funding is actually going to be made directly to the company, not the accelerator. So at this point, we are not going to be supporting the accelerator, but we will be supporting their companies, and the accelerator benefits because typically they take an equity stake. So what are the awards? We are giving up to $200K per award. The number of awards is to be determined. It depends on budget. We're also coming up on our next fiscal year, and so we may, if we have a lot of really good projects that come in through this solicitation, that's still variable how many we will award. You do need to know that we reimburse invoices. We do not give you a lump sum up front, and so that sometimes can be a problem for small companies, but we can work with you in terms of how we pay you, and other small companies have been able to overcome this. So we can talk further about that if that creates a problem. The project duration, we really want it to be fairly short-term, 6 months up to 18 months. We in the past have set up to 12 months, but we've heard from some companies that they sometimes take a little longer to get things done, to get a new assay set up, et cetera. So we're flexible. If you need more than 18 months, we can talk about it, but we're really looking for short-term, quick turnaround types of projects. And we do require a 100% match for the award. So if you're asking us for 100K or you're asking us for 200K, you must identify a source of match. It can be in cash or in-kind support from an outside source. You do not have to have a match in hand, but you need to have a good lead on that and be in discussions with your potential match source. It's actually not as hard as you'd think. We've found that companies have done quite well by going to prospective funding, external funding sources in being able to raise this. But we're willing to help you in any way we can. And the accelerator also, we're expecting that the accelerator will help to get the match. We are going to require a final report. Essentially, it's just telling us what you've done 60 days after the grant ends. The selection process is fairly streamlined. We're going to do this fairly quickly. There will be an initial review by NSBRI and NASA. We have some folks from headquarters at NASA to look for the space applications. Those that do appear to meet a need for space will undergo a review by the Industry Forum Steering Council, and those folks are business folks mostly. They have science background, medicine background, but their bent is more for the Earth's market need, and so they'll be looking for that as well. And they're listed. It's quite transparent who they are. They're listed on the Industry Forum website. At top right of the slide, it gives you the Industry Forum website. It's nsbriforum.org. And the selections are made by our institute director, so he has the final say on who gets awarded. Eligibility. So accelerators need to be U.S.-based. They have to be fairly active. We don't want accelerators that have funded something 5 years ago but have not done anything for the last 12 months. We really prefer them to nominate up to 2 applicants, but if they have 3 that they really feel are fine, we will take a look at those others. But we wanted to make it equitable for all accelerators, so you know, we didn't want to take a dozen from one and only 1 or 2 from another, so we really wanted to give everybody a fair chance. And the companies do not have to be currently supported by the accelerator. They could have graduated 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It doesn't really matter, but you do have to have the support of the accelerator saying, yes, we believe that this company is a good fit. So you really need to be talking to the accelerators to make sure that you can submit together. So it doesn't matter if you're not currently in the accelerator. And if you've been through multiple accelerators, that's fine too. In fact, we're finding that sometimes the period of time in the accelerator is a little short for some companies that require a little bit longer to get to market. And so it's fine if you've been through multiple accelerators. You just need to find one accelerator that is active that will stand up and say, yes, we think that you're a good fit. Nominees. So the companies must be U.S.-based, obviously. They have to be small. We really didn't want this to be an opportunity for a GE company, for example. We really wanted to focus on small companies, and I think I've already covered the accelerator connection. What is the selection criteria? How are you going to hit a home run with this? So first and foremost, I think it's important to meet pain points for health and performance in space. And how are you going to know about what is a pain point for space? That's something I will spend some time on, quite a bit of time. And if you're not sure after I cover some of those things, please feel free to email me or call the office or chat or whatever way you want to communicate. We stand ready to talk to you. This is all about identifying areas of overlap. So if you're not sure, let me know and we'll talk about it. But I think what's easier for most companies is the pain point on Earth. We expect you to meet a pain point on Earth. You don't have to be meeting a pain point that's going to gross billions and billions of dollars. That's not what we're after. What we're looking for here is a solution that can make a difference. And so it can be a small market. That's okay as long as you're going to actually make a strong impact. It's really about the goodness and the benefits to the taxpayers who are basically funding this program. This is tax dollars supported, so we want to make sure that the taxpayers on Earth receive a benefit. We're going to be looking at whether the project plan is feasible in the time frame. If you have a very long development plan, break it down into something that is achievable. We're not expecting you with this small award to go all the way, but clearly define a project that you can accomplish within the time period that you state and within the budget. And so we want you to be reasonable. We want to know that you're reasonable with regards to what you're proposing. And so that is something, again, that we can help you with, and we can talk to you about what would be feasible. Will it work in space? And that is something I will cover, some technical things that we should talk about. Some other things that are basic to general commercial perspectives, intellectual property, is it protected and defensible? We're not going to be doing that kind of due diligence. Just tell us a little bit about it. The reason that we're partnering with accelerators is we figure the accelerator has already done the due diligence on all of this, but we want to hear that what the strategy is and that it has in fact been looked at. Can you compete in the marketplace? We do want to know what are the competitors and how are you going to differentiate yourself. So these, again, are business things that the accelerator has probably already looked at. And so, again, this is why we're partnering with the accelerator. But we want to hear from you, again, what are the competitive advantages. And then a clear path to generate some revenue. So while we're not really interested in your revenue, we're not going to be taking any equity stake, we're not going to be collecting any money. The reason that we think it's important that you have a clear path to revenue is that we want to make sure you're sustainable. So at the end of the day, when you deliver a product and when you deliver it to NASA, for example, I want to know that your company is going to be around to support that product, that if there are updates, if there's parts that need to be replaced, if there's any new discoveries that are made to improve the product, that you're going to be around in order for NASA to come back and get that kind of support. When NASA develops products that are just one-offs, it's quite difficult and expensive for them because they have to develop all of their in-house expertise to support those products. We're looking to really deliver more refined things for them. So that's why it's important for you to have a path to generate revenue. Are there other funding sources? This is a small award. I am not kidding myself. I know how expensive research is, in particular medical research, and there must be other funding sources that are going to back you up. We're okay being the seed fund, but we want to know that you have some other backing, either through the accelerator or other. Obviously, the match will be important in identifying other funding sources. We want to know that you have a plan. How are you going to get more money? Again, to sustain you so that you don't fold after you receive this grant. And then last is we want to know that your team actually has delivered, you know, and if it's just one person, some indication that you deliver on what you promise. And again, we believe that the accelerators probably did a lot of due diligence, and we're happy to take their word for it. Will it work in space? So here's where we get a little bit more technical. So you can imagine space as sort of the extreme environment. You're in the bush, or you're in the fields, or you're on an oil platform in the middle of the ocean. These are what we would call remote or undersourced regions or environments, extreme environments. Delivering healthcare in space is very similar to delivering healthcare in those environments. So generally, you don't want technologies to be invasive if you can avoid it. In some cases, you do have to take blood, but if you don't have to take blood or do any kind of open types of open body sort of procedures, then that would be ideal. So technologies like ultrasound or spectroscopy or things like that would be diagnostic are very favored. It needs to be user-friendly. So while NASA will be flying a physician astronaut, most likely, what we worry about is a situation where the physician astronaut is incapacitated himself or herself, or the physician astronaut is not an expert in a particular area or hasn't trained in a particular procedure over, you know, for a long time. And so we want user-friendly solutions for non-expert operators. We want devices and technologies that are compact and lightweight, that would consume minimal power, water, other resources, have low consumables. Whatever consumables are needed, that they would have a long shelf life, and they must be robust. The thing can't break down. We need it to be working all the time, and if it does require a fix, that the fix is easy to do by a non-expert operator. So all of those things actually make technologies quite robust and quite desirable, and I think probably you could argue that you can deliver healthcare in a non-hospital environment if it actually, the technologies that you're using have these characteristics. And so I argue that actually it should lower the cost of healthcare on Earth if these technologies meet these requirements. IT solutions must stand alone. We will not have internet connectivity on our way to Mars, unfortunately. So everything that we develop for software or informatics-based solutions really must be self-contained and be able to stand alone. Materials and electronics should be able to withstand some higher G forces of launch and reentry, probably only once or twice. And we do test most electronics for exposure to low doses of ionizing radiation. So imagine a satellite going above. Actually, all those components that go into satellites are tested for radiation hardiness, et cetera. Those are things that NASA's good at. You may not know that, but in making a prototype, for example, and choosing a material, usually you don't even think about these things, but for space, we would be asking those kinds of questions. And so if, in fact, it is more expensive to go with electronic that's more hardy, we would be willing to support the modifications. If you're not sure, again, please email me. So the scope of the work, for example, that we would be expecting to see, and this is not a comprehensive list, this is just to give you an idea of the kinds of desirable projects, but there are others. Again, you should contact me and we could talk about it. Proof of concept studies, that's fine. A refinement of prototypes, any changes in formulations, any safety studies that you need to do, regulatory, usability testing. These are all steps that are very important to take a product to commercial applications, and so we're looking to give these awards to help you along that path. We need to make a difference for you to get that product to the market, whether it be the space market or the Earth market. So we just wanted to give you some ideas of what you could do with the award, but there's other possibilities. Okay. I wanted to go through the application questions and just kind of give a brief overview of what we mean by each of these things. First and foremost, please do not give me any information that you feel is so proprietary. I will be asking my counsel, who will review this, to sign non-disclosure agreements and also conflict of interest, and we will be carefully looking at the conflict of interest in particular. But I really do not want you to disclose anything that you would not say to a room full of potential investors. And so I think that what we're asking for is general enough that you could probably disclose it in an application. If you have a question about something that you think is critical and that is proprietary, do let me know when we can discuss how to convey that information so that you don't lose any position in your intellectual property. There's a brief section that should be filled out by the accelerator. We just want to know a little bit about the accelerator. We also want to know why they're nominating you, so that shouldn't take them long. The application will then go to a description of the technology and what is the competitive advantage that your technology has over other solutions that are existing or currently in development. We want to know briefly what is the current status of technology. So this is actually a drop-down list, and I think we call it the product readiness level. And it basically asks whether it's been through regulatory approval already, or whether it's you've had a prototype already, whether you're in clinic, just to give us an idea of where it's at. The impact for space. So this is the part where I think most people will need help. And again, please contact me. I can help you with that. Impact for Earth, this is something that most companies do know. What is the market pain point? We really would like you to try to quantify. I want to know how many patients you're going to be helping. You can give dollars if you wish, but really what we're interested in is not so much the dollars, but what is the impact that you're going to be making for improving folks' lives, essentially, or people's health on Earth. I want to know what your anticipated major hurdles would be. So if you think, for example, miniaturization is going to be a big problem, tell us about that, because every technology has a hurdle or many hurdles to overcome. That's okay. If there are things that you list there that we could potentially help you with, that's going to pinpoint to me something that we could perhaps look at, and maybe we have access to technologies or resources that could help you. The whole point of this is that we want you to win, we want you to succeed, and we will do everything we can to make that happen. We want to just basically know what the project milestones and deliverables will be, and I'm going to show you on the next slide. I may have switched around the slides here. I'm not sure it is on the next slide, but anyway, what sorts of things you could deliver. The project timeline and budget, just roughly when you think you will have all those things done. And then the budget, there's actually an Excel sheet that you can download and then fill in and then upload into your application. That's very simple. It's not very granular. You will see that it's not that granular. It just gives us a basic idea, and our finance office is happy to work with you on that as well. It's important to note here that the matching source, you do not need to have it in hand. You have to have had discussions with potential matching sources. You have to identify somebody who says, you know what, I will consider this. If you get this award, I will consider matching you. And so we ask you to basically tell us who you've talked to, who potentially could match, but you do not have to have the match in hand when you apply. And so it's ideal if you do, but if we do select you for an award, you would have to come up with a match. So if that original match falls through, before I can award you, I need you to get a letter from a matching source. So in other words, you know, we're not requiring to have all your ducks lined up all in a row for this time frame. The match could be cash or in kind. There's an FAQ sheet that is downloadable from the smartcap.org website. There's many different ways to match. This is something we've been doing for the last 16 years. Everybody has questions about how they can match, and again, our finance office is happy to discuss with you how you can do this. So again, email me and I will put you in touch with them. We do want to know your burn rate and your current operating capital, because I want to know that you can continue to operate even if you know, the award you spend out the award that we give you. We want to know that you have a little bit of money to keep you going, at least, that you're not going to shut down right away once you run out of the award that we might give you. A section on key personnel, up to 3, I think, is what we ask for. Just tell us a little bit about you and who are the people who are going to make this a success. And then the intellectual property position, don't go into too much detail. Just want to know, what is your strategy? Have you patented? Do you have a license to, or have you licensed technologies, et cetera? All right, I think this is probably the slide that we will spend the most time on, and this is some example pain points for health and performance in space. And so I'm going to go through some things that I think might be relevant for most of you. This is not an exhaustive list by any means, and the other thing I want to say is I don't know what I don't know, and so you may have a solution for something that we currently are not directly addressing for spaceflight, and we may want to consider it. So you may actually come forward with a solution or a problem that we haven't considered that we need to think about. And so if it's not listed here, that does not mean that I'm not interested in it by any means. Please do email me and talk to me about it. The other thing that I would say is I recommend that you go to the 2 websites listed on the bottom of the slide. One is our website, nsbri.org, where you will see examples of projects that we fund and the therapeutic areas that we address. There's also the Human Research Roadmap. It's actually a nice navigatable website that you can click through and see all the different risks on the research roadmap. You can click on each one to see the individual gaps within each of the risks, and also the current work being funded, what NASA's interested in, et cetera. There's lots of information on that website. So I highly recommend you take a peek at those. All right, so I'm going to go through some example pain points. Routine health surveillance. These are humans who are going to be living in a closed environment, and they're going to be living there for months and months and months, if not a couple of years at a time. And so we're going to have to do routine health surveillance. So any diagnostic imaging, lab on a chip to look at brain chemistry, all kinds of things we need to think about. So just imagine somebody coming in for a health checkup. What would you need to do, and how would you do it in an extreme environment, in a space that's nowhere near a hospital setting? We may have situations where we have emergencies occur. We may need to do an appendectomy. We may have We may have a kidney stone, for example. I would consider that an emergency. We may need to give oxygen. For example, we had funded in the past oxygen concentrators for critical care. There are other types of things. For example, I would call a dental emergency an emergency in space because you're nowhere near a dentist, so any dental solutions might be of interest as well. Brain health in particular is interesting and important. We've actually seen some cases of increased intracranial pressure in astronauts. It's caused to some vision problems. It's led to some vision problems. We believe that we may have some papilledema going on, and so being able to surveil vision, peripheral vision, and any kind of abnormalities in brain function. So non-invasive methods if possible, obviously. Behavioral health. Astronauts are confined to a small space. They're working many, many hours. They don't sleep well, and so they could be very tired. They're isolated from their families and loved ones. And so any software solution or other types of technologies that can prevent in terms of enhancing their environment, pleasure-giving technologies, for example, entertainment, improvement of brain, what would you call it, acuity, if you will, or sharpness, detection of any behavioral health problems, and mitigation. So anything that you could do that would reduce stress and conflict and the potential for behavioral problems. Integration of medical devices, so these could be software-based solution, medical dashboards. We would love to have a clinical decision support system. I know that the IBM is working on it. There may be other small companies out there working on this. Remember, we are not going to have access to the internet, so whatever solution we come up with has to be autonomous. And this is something that I think is quite an exciting area, both for Earth medicine and space. We have ionizing radiation that we're concerned about, so any therapeutics or preventative mitigation strategies or pharmaceuticals would be of great interest as well. Muscle and bone loss, we are interested in surveilling bone and muscle loss, again, using non-invasive technologies, biomarkers in the serum or urine. Intracranial hypertension, I think I've already talked about the brain health thing, and I already mentioned the renal stone and the sleep and circadian disruption. Anything that would actually assess fitness for duty or improve your performance. Also, I guess one other thing I want to say is we're very interested in technologies that can serve more than one purpose. So, for example, I spoke to somebody yesterday about having a visualization software for three-dimensional structures of very high resolution that could do, for example, dental imaging. So if that could be applied both for medical as well as for example, vehicle structural integrity of certain things, anything that could be multi-purpose technologies are very of interest, very much interest to NASA. So I know I didn't cover everything. Again, I urge you to go back to those websites. The timeline, we're going to do this fairly quickly. So we opened the solicitation on June 11th. The deadline is July 22nd, so you have roughly 3 weeks. We will review these really quickly. You can see that within 18 days we're going to be able to make selection announcements. So we're going to be really working our reviewers hard. These are all volunteers. They, like I said, they will be signing a COI. We'll be looking at make sure that there's no conflicts there, and they'll recuse themselves if there's any connection to the companies or accelerators that they're looking at. And then once we announce, I will actually be working with the award recipients to make sure that the project plan is well developed and that it's completely aligned with both the terrestrial and space applications of the product. Please know that we are very sensitive to the risks of a small company diversifying itself too much. Small companies need to focus, and they need to really drive home their primary application and market. And so we are not looking for them to come up with a new strategy for their product. We are really looking to align both the space and the terrestrial so that we all work towards one goal, is delivering a product that could work in both places. That's something that we're going to be looking at to make sure that you don't diversify too much. And then we're hoping to start funding in September as soon as possible. But if we need to go to October, that's fine. We can make this happen relatively quickly. What we expect. I have 2 more slides and I think I'm done. We expect you to do the work on time and within budget. I don't think that's unreasonable. We also expect you to provide the product to NSBRI NASA under a royalty-free license. And so this is very typical of any company receiving federal funding. You are expected to provide it to the government without any charge. And so we can sign a license to make sure that we don't transfer it to other companies, et cetera. That's fine. So we will protect your intellectual property, but essentially we have to provide it to the end customer, which is NASA, for free. We expect you to participate in our team telecons. So we run things a little differently in NSBRI. We really are a very integrated research community. Our teams are composed of independent investigators on grants that work in areas that are similar. So for example, a smart medical systems and technology team has researchers that are working on ultrasound technologies, near-infrared spectroscopy. Some of them are evaluating intracranial pressure, non-invasive devices. Others are integrating technologies. There's different kinds of projects, but they talk to each other, and we have a team leader, an associate team leader. And what's good about that is that you may actually find lots of opportunities for collaborations or of expertise that you may want to leverage, and they're all very open and collaborative. You do not have to disclose what you're doing necessarily in terms of the specific technical details, but the folks on the team will want to hear from you about your basic science, and I think that you'll find it quite helpful. Most of our researchers are academic researchers. We do have quite a few companies, and everybody knows there are certain intellectual property lines that people don't cross. We expect you to give us credit in publications, patents, and press releases. We expect for you to present on your work, what you've accomplished at one meeting, which happens in Houston, and that includes all of the NASA and NSBRI investigators. And it's a wonderful opportunity for networking and finding out what everybody else is doing. And the funds for travel to that meeting in Houston can be included in your budget. And we also expect you to aggressively pursue other funding and commercialization. We really want you to succeed, and so we will do everything we can, as I said, to help you. What you should expect is non-dilutive funding. We don't take any equity. We have found that other applicants, when they've gone out with this solicitation in mind, they have been able to attract new funding sources, and so I think you will find that this opens some doors for you in places that you wouldn't expect. There is still this cachet of working with the space program, so folks do tend to take another look at you when you're in the running for this kind of opportunity. As I already mentioned, collaborative opportunities. Potentially there could be access to space flight opportunities for you as well. If we find your technology is something that we really need and is sufficiently mature, we will push very hard to try to get it to space in the hands of the operational users, the astronauts and the flight surgeons. Okay, let's see, I'm getting a question here. Hold on a second. Right. Okay, so I was asked to clarify with regards to providing the device under a royalty-free license. I don't mean to say that you have to give the product, the devices, for free to NASA. NASA will buy it. It's just the license to use the technology or software is not going to be it should be given under a royalty-free license. So we're happy to buy devices and technologies, but it's just that we don't want to have to pay for licensing anything to use it. So thank you, Marty, who's my partner in crime here, that provided that clarification. Okay, national visibility. We do a lot of press releases and online postings, and we really have found that companies who have developed for the space environment actually have been able to reap some commercial value for their Earth markets as well. There's some added benefits to making your product smaller and more user-friendly and cheaper to operate. And so I argue that by working with us, you probably will learn some things and open up some new avenues for your product for improvement that may give you some commercial advantage on Earth as well. I think that's my last slide. With just questions, please email us. I have questions that came in. Okay, so I have a question with regards to when does the annual grant solicitation open? So we have the two types of awards that have an annual solicitation. One is the traditional grant award, and that generally happens in the summer. We're actually preparing for it now. This is our major solicitation, and that will go out, I'm thinking mid-summer, so late July or beginning of August, that solicitation should come out. And what you should do is get on the distribution list through nsbri.org. You can get on the distribution list, or you can email me and I can make sure that you get on the distribution list. So you will get the call when it comes out. The other grant solicitation that is the SMARTCAP traditional grant, and typically what we've done is we've put out the call in September. I am not sure we're going to do a traditional SMARTCAP grant this year. It depends on how many great proposals we get through SMARTCAP Accel. We may elect to wait until the spring. I'm not sure whether or not we're going to do a traditional SMARTCAP call. We may, but again, I would ask you to sign up for our notices. So if you're on our mailing list, you will get notices of that. Okay, another question. Can the match come from investors who recently funded the company? Yes, absolutely. We love getting investor money, yes. Number two, can we send confidential information, and will it be kept confidential? If there is a piece that you want to upload that you want kept confidential, what you can do, there's a place on the application form that says upload attachments. What you could do is maybe upload one that says confidential, and you can specify who you would like to look at it. And maybe what we'll do with that is perhaps maybe I will be the only one to review that information and determine whether or not the committee needs to see the rest of it. So that's potentially a way we can handle confidential information. Okay, what is an accelerator? There's actually a place on our website, smartcap.org, that explains what an accelerator is. Essentially, it's a program. Typically, they're funded by local government or state government or universities, where they give very intensive and extensive mentoring of folks who are interested in starting companies and to develop certain technologies. And so it's typically like a 3 or 4 month period where they get a lot of intensive coaching. In return for that, the accelerator will actually take an equity stake. I don't think it's a very large equity stake. It's in the small digits percent of any downstream revenues that the company or revenues or royalties. I'm not sure exactly how that structure works, but does a VC or an angel investor qualify as an accelerator? It would have to be a organization. Just a VC or an angel investor would not be an accelerator, but a network that is accelerating, in other words, mentoring and doing sort of a structured program, that would be qualified as an accelerator. Again, I urge you to look online for our definition. We are not going to distinguish between for-profit and nonprofit. I don't think that matters. We were just interested in good technologies and good companies and products that can really make a difference for space and Earth. So whether it's a nonprofit accelerator or for-profit, it really does not matter to our program. Okay, how is this different from the original SMARTCAP? The thing that's different is really just having the accelerator. And we did streamline a little bit the SMARTCAP application. Like I said, this is really the third cycle that we've gone through SMARTCAP, and we have made things a little bit more explicit with this application. But other than that, it's really just the accelerator being a partner in this and nominating. Okay, in case of a government license, how do we get around pricing and reimbursement of a drug from a Medicare, Medicaid best price restriction? Gosh, I do not know about this. So for the person who asked this question, please email me directly. I need to think about how to answer that. I don't know how to answer this question, so please email me and I will think about it and talk to some folks that can help me answer this question. Okay?
There's another.
Let me drag it over here.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that the only other one, the last one
So
there?
far, yeah.
Okay.
The last two, I think. You
last.
already answered accelerator.
Right, okay. All right, so two more questions. Could you also clarify the credit given on patents? I'm not sure I understand what they mean by credit given on patents. I apologize, I'm not sure I understand what you mean by credit given on patents. Please clarify with your next chat. Okay, next question. Are there other requirements for accelerators if they've only taken students? Do they still qualify? No, I think we actually specifically said just students do not qualify. No, it can't just be students. I know what you're getting at, but no, it has to be anybody, essentially entrepreneurs. So student-only accelerators do not qualify for this program. Give us credit on patents, just like your slide said give us credit on patents. Oh, I see. So I'm not sure when you do patent applications, usually do you name, and I may be misspeaking here, but I thought you name your funding source. If not, then don't worry. It's just basically just note your funding source if you're putting in I think they are tracked. I think that when you submit an application, there is a place where you could say, where did you get your funding? And so we would just like to be listed among the many other institutions or organizations or investors. I don't know if that's, I think that's all that means. Okay, my apologies, I was not completely clear on that. I'm glad I clarified it. Looks like I got it. Anything else? Okay, looks like I've answered all your questions. It is 2:48. If I did not answer your question, you still have questions about this, please feel free to email me or call us at the office and they'll put you through. So with that, I think I will close this off. Thank you all for joining us. I hope it wasn't too painful. And I really hope that you take the time and fill out applications. I'd love to see what you got to offer. And for the benefit of the SPACE program and everybody else, thank you. Bye.